Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Empower Your Mind for Success podcast, a podcast for anyone who wants to build an entrepreneurial mindset. Independence Day celebrations are often a good time to reflect on what freedom really means. August 15th, 2020, yesterday, was India's 74th Independence Day. And a lot of celebrations were happening in India and across the world with the Indian diaspora. A lot of messages across WhatsApp, Facebook, feeling the emotion of patriotism and sharing their thanks to all the people who laid their lives for India's freedom in the 1900s. By the time India got their independence, it was 1947. And it's always a day to remember, reflect upon, and think about what freedom really means. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I have close family members and friends who work for the armed forces, both in the US and in India. And we always often talk sometimes about freedom and patriotism and politics and other things. And it makes me wonder what freedom really means. At least pre-independence, even though not every citizen was a freedom fighter, didn't take to the streets, didn't pick up weapons, but I think the whole nation at that time was united towards achieving their freedom, following their leaders and providing some kind of support. So there was some kind of a purpose to achieve freedom, right? There was something to look for, something to hope for, something to aspire for. But if you are born post-independence in your country, then what does freedom really mean? There is no struggle for freedom from another country. There is no struggle from oppression, or no struggle from being tied back in your homes and not being able to express freedom. Now, there are a lot of countries in this world who are free, but there isn't as much freedom as we have here in the US and some countries in Europe and some countries in Asia, right? In the US especially, we have freedom of speech, freedom of going anywhere we want to, freedom of sharing our opinion and a lot of other things, right? We don't get, we are not persecuted for sharing our opinions openly. We are not persecuted for what we wear. We are not persecuted for the religion we follow. It's a free country for pretty much all the citizens of this country, irrespective of what heritage you came from a few hundred years ago, whether you were born here or not born here. So from that perspective, freedom really means different things to different people based on the perspective, based on the knowledge that the person has. And now, especially in the year 2020, given the COVID-19 situation, we have all lost a lot of that freedom, right? Freedom of traveling, freedom of meeting friends, freedom of gathering in large numbers, freedom of going to restaurants to eat our favorite food, freedom to go to a bar to meet a friend to have a beer or two, right? We're not doing any of it. And we have now locked down in our own homes, in our communities. And it's a very strange feeling, which has made us realize what freedom really means, isn't it? But let's say the year 2020 was not the way it is, and we didn't have the COVID-19 pandemic, then what would freedom mean for most of us? And I think that is where, I was trying to connect a few dots for myself and maybe for my listeners and fellow entrepreneurs, that freedom for us, freedom for most of the people is getting the ability, or having the ability, to do what we want to do when we want to do it. Now, to do this, we need at least two basic things in abundance, right? Time and money. Now, we all have only 24 hours in a day, so we all have the same thing. There is no inequality in terms of time available. Now, money, on the other hand, is something that has to be earned. Some have less, some have more, some have never enough, right? But let's say you have enough time, enough money. Would that give you freedom not to work 5 days and take off 2 days? Maybe you work for 2 days and take 5 day long weekend, right? Who is forcing us to live the 5 day, 2 day lifestyle? It is our needs that cannot be fulfilled unless we make money, and we all get trapped in the mediocrity of the 5 day, 2 day life cycle. And sometimes we forget our purpose. We are so busy making a living that we are unable to live the life that we want to, right? And maybe that is what freedom means for most of us now, given that we are not fighting wars against different countries for the basic needs and necessities. It's not, we are not fighting for food or water or air. We are not fighting for the privileges of driving or getting medical services, or following the job that we want to, or starting our own business, right? We're not fighting for those basic necessities now. So now we need to look at something above and beyond that. And if we can get our time back, which means we are not bound by the working hours of an employee in the corporate world, and especially if that is what we aspire for, and I'm assuming all my listeners are aspiring for that, or at least some part of it, or at least having another source of income to provide some kind of a safety net, then I think the time and money equation becomes very important for us. And whatever the number for you is, if you can get that, if you can make that number, would it allow you to buy back your time? And when you buy back your time with the money that you can make, you have many more choices. And with those choices, you can decide the way you want to live your life. And maybe that is what freedom for us means. It also leads to financial freedom, but I think in general that is what freedom means. Now, what can we do once we achieve this freedom is also important, right? It's not just for us and our immediate family. This freedom allows us and perhaps enforces a moral obligation on all of us to help those in need, to help people who are aspiring to be where we are today, or where we would have been if we achieved our financial freedom, and help them get there, to set up schools and temples and help the underprivileged in the US and around the world, wherever the help is needed. Maybe it is an ability to spend time with our aging parents whenever we want to. It's an ability to travel around the world and help people there, right? Whatever we want to achieve with that time and money freedom that we have achieved is something that we need to take advantage of and help others, right? It cannot be a self-fulfilling um, objective of financial freedom. Yes, we want the financial freedom for ourselves, but why is to fulfill our purpose, right? And I think there's so many studies done in the world around long life and healthy long life, that humans who have a purpose live longer lives, live healthier lives. There is a village in Japan, I believe it is Okinawa, where most number of people above age of 100 are exist today, right? And one of the studies shows that the people who live in this village in Japan are very active. They are people who are very friendly, and they're all living with a purpose and helping each other, right? And I think if we can do all that, then we would have relatively less stress, um, and we can achieve and do more with the freedom that we get, right? And I think isn't that what we are all looking for, right? Happiness at the end of the day is the ultimate goal for all of us. But happiness is subjective, and that is great. But happiness can only be achieved when you get your financial freedom back, in my opinion. when you have the freedom to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and spend that time with your friends and family and your community. And I think that is what I was trying to connect the dots for, what freedom means for us now in these modern times. And hopefully we are not imprisoned by the propaganda that social media makes, or television or the news channels make, and we have our own thought process to weed out what's true, what's not. And we have a strong belief in ourselves, right? So I hope we can all do that and get our freedom. But something to reflect upon. I hope this kind of helps you to think back. I may not have all the answers in this podcast, but at least gives you something to think about and ponder on, and ask yourself the question: if you indeed are free, have you indeed achieved your freedom? I hope this helps. I hope this provides value. If it did, please forward this podcast to someone who you believe will benefit from listening to this podcast. Remember, you have unlimited potential. Own it. Thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.